This is Dabu7. It looks to me like things are going to heat up around these pipelines sooner than later. And what we have now is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on Wednesday stating that they have taken the initial steps to review requests to approve the final permits to finish the Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, this doesn't say that the easement's going through fully, but they're basically stating Mike Pence stepped up and said something here. They're planning on going through with this. And the people up there with Standing Rock are saying we're prepared to go to court and fight this legally, and we're prepared to do what we have to do up here to stop this from happening on the ground, to stop the construction. So I'm telling you, things are going to heat up, especially as spring approaches, snow starts to melt, things warm up outside, people can gather more and get to places easier versus battling with the weather. You're going to see things go to a whole new level, in my opinion. Now, the problem here, obviously, is that the Standing Rock tribe feels that this is their main source of water. And what other people don't realize downstream is they're standing up for your rights because there's some 17 million people downstream from where this pipeline is going to cross the Missouri River. They're looking out for you too. Other people out there that really don't even see what's coming. What happens when a situation unfolds where a pipeline breaks? The federal government comes in and says, oh, we're going to clean it up, we'll do this, and they here's some fluoridated bottled water in the meantime. And then all of a sudden, you're taking handouts from the federal government, which is right where they want you anyway. Now, if you're someone out there that likes to be lazy and sit on your ass and take out free handouts the whole time while everyone else pays for it, you need to just move to a socialist country because that's the whole ideology behind it. And once that all runs out, you're all screwed. You see, you want to siphon off of other people and get free stuff and not do a damn thing. Well, you're in reality not getting free stuff. Other people are paying for it. You see, carrying the dead weight of others that don't want to do anything. Then you have other people that are truly patriotic in this country that are standing up for what they believe with all the heart is the right thing. Water is life. You know, we haven't seen an intrusion in a staged type of environment with Standing Rock, so to speak, like we have with BLM and other protests across the country. Doesn't mean agitators haven't infiltrated up here and tried to pull crap off, because they have. There's been all kinds of crap pop off. But the heart of this is the Indian tribes that are true at heart in nature, that are truly trying to save their property. You got to think, these are individuals that were getting slaughtered in a war where they had the disadvantage where the other side had guns and was giving them blankets with diseases and everything else, and they've been squeezed into these small little reservations here in this country. And they are the natives. And they are concerned that their only water source could be tainted. That is a valid concern, in my opinion. So Obama put this environmental review into place, saying it's going to take months to review this, and once they complete that, they'll go on from there. Now, all of a sudden, it looks like the Army Corps of Engineers is ready to just go ahead and grant this easement, and they're not putting anything out there on any websites officially yet, but it's going to happen at any time, is how they're talking. And when they do, they're going to start pushing forward, and these people can sit back and do nothing, or they're going to step up and try to block this and do some of the things we've seen thus far that they've done. But it's got heated up here. It's gotten very dangerous. A mainstream media blackout. We had, during inauguration, Revolutionary Z was up here with all the attention on D.C. They clamped down up here in Backwater Bridge, where Revolutionary Z was posted up live streaming as a journalist, not as a protester, being our eyes and ears on the ground. And who did they target? They targeted him. And they shot for his phone and damn near blew his finger off, crushed it. He had to have reconstructive surgery on his hand, shot up in the leg, and everything else up there. As they just put a whole line of cops up on an upper ridge and just started hailing down rubber bullets on the whole camp, just lighting them up left and right, targeting him specifically and taking our camera, our eyes and ears out of commission and putting our man up in the hospital where he had to go through surgery and all this stuff, and he didn't have the means to cover it. You know, when these guys go up here, they do this out of their own pocket, on their own dime, with very little backing from those that support them, because we all come from the streets. There is no mainstream media flying them up here, putting them in a hotel, giving them insurance and all this other crap. Doesn't work like that. These real deal journalists like us out here have to cover all that on our own. And the reality is this: people can get hurt bad on the front lines. When I was in D.C., yeah, there's provocateurs. I even watched provocateurs throwing bricks that even hit their own people by accident on the front lines. Crazy crap happens. But I'll tell you this much: the cops don't care either. My press badge hanging around my neck has never stopped me from catching a face full of pepper spray. It's happened multiple times. Baltimore, Ferguson, here recently in D.C., caught on film. They don't care. They do not care. The police don't when there's that mentality. They don't care if you're a journalist or not. So the journalists are getting treated just like anyone else out there and even getting sent to jail. It's because they're trying to silence and censor what's really happening here. And we're not going to stop. I've warned, and I'm going to state it again, for anyone that plans to go up to these areas, do your research on what has happened with the rat poisoning. There has been 40,000 pounds of rat poisoning dumped on thousands of acres up here. They have cattle in quarantine. It's created what they call the dapple cough, people coughing up blood, bloody noses. It's because it's a rat poison that's designed to make animals bleed to death. And the initial use was supposed to be going into these burrows and dumping it in the burrows of prairie dogs to take them out. But they just dumped it all over. So people are getting sick from this. And the whole area now tainted. You have to be very careful about what you do and know your surroundings up here when you're in this area. And there's a fine line between where they're saying is Army Corps of Engineer and then right across the water, literally, is Sioux Tribe territory. So the Cannonball River and some of these sites becoming major fronts for battle. And it looks like in some of these positions, the police have made sure that they've had the upper hand where they're up on a hillside or a range higher than the adjacent camp on the other side of the bridges and everything, to where they can rain down stuff and be in a better position to assault any protesters. Yes, you've had your guys that have said the hell with it. I'm standing up for my rights, my country, and they've taken off up the hillside toward them and across waterways, and they've been getting pummeled with rubber bullets and hit with pepper spray along the way and freezing cold temperatures and having to cross a river in that water too at the same time and putting their lives on the line to make a statement, to say, look, we're not backing down. And I'm going to tell you people this much. There has to be some sort of movement created in this country that is righteous. And there are righteous groups and righteous people out there. But when you have a George Soros that is creating chaos in this country, come election time, you're going to have anti-whoever wins. Like you're going to have anti-Trump. But it doesn't help when you have a George Soros spending millions on paying protesters through Moore Foundation, MoveOn.org, that leave the name right there in their banners that they disrespectfully dump on the ground everywhere they go, leaving their thumbprint. So we see there's organized chaos in the streets of America that they're creating. But that's different than true people rising. And what I'm here to tell you is we need to come together as this true group representing true values and protecting the people that truly need it, that are standing up for righteous things. There's a difference between the movement at Standing Rock and the Fascist or the Black Bloc or the BLM that you see at these other events. A huge difference. One, up here, they're not funded by Soros. They're not backed by anyone. They're being oppressed. You see, it's different. These are the true people trying to make a stand. And of course, all these sites get provocateurs. We've seen people roll up with guns, try to incite violence, all kinds of crazy stuff. And even them make the moves now in North Dakota to try to say they want to make it law to where you can run people over. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? No one paying attention. They want to make it legal to run people over. Now, if they did that in St. Louis or somewhere else and they were going to say it's legal to run over Black Lives Matter, there would be a hailstorm of all kinds of talk. The hypocrisy in this country is ridiculous, if you ask me. Because Hillary Clinton can be on film saying she voted to have money to put up a wall, a barrier. There was no protest, nothing like that. It shows the brainwashing of the people. It shows the influence also of an establishment-controlled mainstream media. When you have a hashtag like Muslim ban thrown like fuel on the fire once again. That was a complete lie. Look how many people it got fired up. How many world leaders were even commenting on it, making statements without even looking at the original document and seeing that the mainstream media fabricated it all. That's fake news, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to get more and more of it. And they're going to continue to paint the picture that the righteous ones out here fighting are the bad guys. They're eventually going to call them domestic terrorists. They're going to try to hit them with domestic terrorist charges. And you can sit back on your couch and wait till it shows up on your front doorstep and think someone else is going to fight the fight. Because so many people out there, I think, have gotten in this mindset to where, somebody else will win it. Someone else will go out there and fight the fight. We're just going to sit back and watch. I hate to tell you, it's not going to work out like that. Because by the time anything gets to your neighborhood and your streets, if you don't get up and do something about it, it's going to be the fake George Soros protests moving down your streets, your blocks, catching the eyes of your children if you're not paying attention. Then you've got a big problem. Then it's going to be too late to try to organize something. Because the tentacles have already come through and started to suck up the people that are already in your area and brainwash them with their tactics. You see? So you need to get proactive now. You need to stand up and fight for your people in your country, for the rights of individuals. You need to be looking at things like the pipelines and asking serious questions. Why didn't they reroute this another way? So what? It's going to cost them a few $100 million more. They'll make that up, right? For sure. Why did they choose to go through an area specifically that would cause this much controversy? You have to raise those questions and then see in the long haul if it's even worth it. They always say, it's going to make more jobs and it's going to do all this. Now, the guys building the pipelines that are almost done, they're going to be completed. The refineries are down there and operational already. I don't see a whole lot of new jobs coming out of these two pipelines that are majority complete. Well, one is anyway. They're trying to finish the Standing Rock one up here, the DAPL one. And then it'll be complete. Okay, then it's just going to be the oil flowing through it. Where it's coming from already has workers. Where it's going down in the Gulf already has workers at those places. Yeah, it may create a few more jobs, but how many of you out there are getting ready to get a job in the oil industry and the pipeline industry down in Louisiana or in the Gulf? How many of you? How many of you are in that area to even have it as an opportunity? Very minimal amount. Okay, but look how many millions can be affected by a spill if it hits the waterway. It's too late then. It's going to be Flint on steroids, and it's going to be the government coming in with bottled, fluoridated water to give you, making you dependent on them while they clean up a mess that, if it happens, some could say, was this the plan all along? Well, see, the tribes up here aren't that stupid. At this point, they're making a stand, and I have a feeling, America, it's going to get bloody. And you're going to see some patriotic actions happen, and you can sit there and bitch out and get scared when the mainstream media tries to label true patriots domestic terrorists. You can bitch out and be left on your own. Or you can stand up and you can fight the good fight and ride for your people. We are of one. All colors, all languages, all races. We are of one. If this is supposed to truly be a nation of one, a lot of things got to change. And first and foremost, I think it's a respect to nature, to mankind, to do the right thing, and to make sure you do evaluate the environmental stuff here. And like I said before, why in the hell did they ever run this in this area is beyond me. When they have all these different options that were set in front of them on where they could run the pipeline, completely missing some of these areas. And a lot of the area that the government owns, I mean, you look at Utah, Nevada, how much acreage they consume out there. It's ridiculous. And they've squeezed the Indians down these little itty bitty reservations. And then want to run right up next to multiple spots that could affect them. Why would they do that? Why would they simply not go out and around and make it a non-issue for the waterways, so to speak. It comes down to money in the end. We all know it and the politics of it. But I'm just here to tell you that when it comes to Standing Rock, things are going to heat up, ladies and gentlemen. Expect it. They've got a plan here for the first 100 days. And look at this. Dakota Access, and here's Keystone. You can have two pipelines running parallel, not that far away from each other. And we'll see what happens with this. It's, in my opinion, free energy, clean energy. That's the way we need to go. Some say how? Well, it's out there. They just lied to you. We live in a water world where they're just now starting to create desalination plants on the West Coast. They should have been doing this a long time ago. It works, turning salt water into pure water. That right there changes the game big time. Even other countries starting to do it now. We live on a water world. Why would you have not done this a long time ago? And be producing water that you could funnel water. There could never be a drought in California if they did it the right way. There would never be a drought. They could turn the deserts into a utopia. How about running pipelines of water into the desert and creating a utopia? Or water down to the cities that need it, down to Phoenix, down to Dallas, down to Houston. How about doing that? Anytime you talk like that, they want to push it to the back burner. When you start talking of doing amazing things to actually help people and to help this environment and the planet, why would they continue to keep creating nuclear plants when you have disasters like Fukushima destroying the ocean? Putting more in dangerous spots. These things have got to end. But you see, this is how they control you. By dividing you, by keeping you a debt slave, and by running this system on this fiat currency off the whole oil system. They've taken the natural grid system that the ancients used offline. They've taken it completely offline. What was talked about by Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, when they lived for thousands of years and he witnessed the sunrise in the east and the west and the east and the west again, and told the story of Osiris getting chopped up by Set and all these other things, and the battle in the heavens, and these male dominant entities that came here from where? They came here from outer space after there was a battle in Mars. This is how the story's told. And they come here, and after some time, these male dominant individuals caused chaos, and then came the downfall of Atlantis itself. This was told by Thoth. But what he stated then was that this planet was set up on an energy grid system off the natural inertia of the Earth, of wind, solar, all the elements. Knowing that they didn't have to be tapping and drilling for oil. Knowing that there was a different power structure here on this planet where people were more free to do different things. Energy you were able to come across and consume and use freely. If you had that today, they cannot control you. Do you see? So before we ever make it to that utopia, big things have got to change. And I do believe that you're going to see things happen. There could even be staged events and attacks pulled off on this pipeline to blame on Standing Rock individuals. That was not them. Something huge. To try to deem them as terrorists. When they're not. When they're fighting for their rights and their freedom. Now there's a fine line. If you cross over an Army Corps engineer land, then you can say, okay, now they're trespassing. But when they're standing on their land, right there on that river, that's the front line. And I'm telling you people, the power's in your numbers. And the way you win this and you overwhelm it is not by doing anything other than showing up in mass. You don't have to fire a shot. You don't have to drop a threat. You bring 10,000 people strong to 10,000 people strong to Standing Rock on that hillside, on their turf. There's a couple hundred cops ain't going to be able to do a damn thing. The power's in your numbers. And if you don't create a group a positive, influential group to gravitate toward, for the youth to gravitate toward, and counter this beast movement in the streets by George Soros. They're going to sweep through every neighborhood, through every city, every airport, every mall, causing chaos every step of the way. Taking in the gullible in the youth that see it as potentially being the right thing to do because they're gullible and they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see they control both sides of every war, that they created ISIS and sent our troops to fight against it, which is sick. When you start to see the bigger picture, everything starts to fall into place. You start to see there's deception and that there has to be a movement to stop it. To hell with all these groups that are being funded by the government or by George Soros, that have connections or are having White House dinner meetings like Democracy Spring was with the Obama administration, getting funded, like we said, BLM by George Soros. When you are going up billionaires, they're invading us and sending in an army and using your own people to achieve it. You need to come together under a new name, a new banner that needs to catch fire and grow and take off like a wildfire to counterbalance this evil effort in this country and to show the youth and others that there is a righteous group to gravitate toward. And of course, what do you think they're going to call them? What do you think they're going to do to a group like that? It is their biggest threat. They will slander them. They will arrest them. They will shoot them up, call them domestic terrorists. They will do everything they can. But I'm telling you, they will do nothing when you show up with your numbers. When you show up 20, 50, 100 times their force, they can do nothing. Nothing. Don't you forget it. The power is in your numbers. And I will be dropping a music video here soon called The Power of the People or Power of the People. And the whole purpose, this is in advance. If anyone that wants to come whining and bitching down the road saying, oh, there's some agitators that were playing your music in the streets. Can anyone stop anyone from buying and using anything for any other purpose? I think not. So I'm telling you in advance, my message is a positive one of bringing the people together. Okay? So it's just like my songs Revolution that I've got out there. If someone chooses to play that and they're from a not so righteous group, I can't do anything to stop it. You see what I'm saying? I can't do anything to stop them from, just like Pac couldn't do it. No other person that you put your music out there, anyone can be inspired by that. Okay? And I can guarantee you some not so good people are going to pick up on your music and use it to their advantage. They did the same thing to Pac. They said, look, you created Thug Life. All these kids are listening to your music. But that wasn't Pac's fault. Pac was telling a story. He was relating to the people. You see? That's what made him legendary. Being able to relate to the people, caring for the people, telling you that Brenda's got a baby, telling you in the end, Don Illuminati, hinting to you to kill this Illuminati, unlike any other person in the industry has ever done. That's what woke me up. Machiavelli. And we still ride for you. And we ride for the belief of having true freedom, of having members from every state come together, represent each other, to where when people truly need help, thousands flock to the scene. We all have each other's back. You don't have, everybody brings everything they can to make it there and support. There will be plenty of food, plenty of supplies, and most of all, plenty of good spirit and good people. Cameras rolling, thousands and thousands of people. That's where you make your statement. If they want to do something, then let them be the first to act. And if they want to cause bloodshed, let it be seen. And I'll say this, you do not just lay down and let them stomp you out. At times, there's moves that have to be made. Did you guys know this? There was a CIA agent that just came out here in the past few years, right before he died, talking about Area 51 and speaking of how Eisenhower ordered them to go to Area 51 because they whatever's going on in these different factions of the government, there's some separation. And at the time, they were not obeying the orders of Eisenhower, and Eisenhower threatened to invade Area 51 with the First Army out of Colorado. And this is a real story. Unless they gave some goods or some information up to the men to bring back to Eisenhower on what was really going on and happening there. Very interesting story of how he's flown in the S-4, all the hangars. We've heard about all this stuff before, but this is a guy that was getting ready to die on his deathbed. And when he said it, you could see the relief in him. And he said, man, I feel like a ton has been lifted off my shoulders. So it set him free. The truth always sets you free. And it set him free before he passed on. And rest in peace, brother. And all the ones out there that have the heart to get the truth out there. It's why they killed JFK. Yeah, he wasn't perfect. He was having affairs. He comes from the Illuminati family bloodline, but something happened. Where he realized this dark hand was controlling this and controlling you people. And until you understand that, you're still sleeping. Do you understand what they're worshiping? The fallen ones? And that this world is a stage? It's my opinion, you're not fully awake. You can't see the bigger picture until you start to understand what they truly worship, what they truly believe in. And then all the rest of this is theatrics. And it brings me back to this. Why would they run pipelines in areas where you know there's going to be controversy? Well, because they want just that. They want things to stoke the fire. And it is order out of chaos. And until you come together to stop it, it will continue in this country. I want to thank everyone out there that fights the good fight. This is some updated information in regards to this. I wanted to make a video packed full of as much info as possible here so people understand exactly where this sits. It's going to heat up, and the people up here need support. It's not just going to be here. I think you're going to see other things fire up. This is where people need to come together. All different backgrounds. I can't stress it enough. It's the most important thing because, you know, the powers of the people. There is no other equal. And when you come together, there is no way to beat you. And that's the truth. But you have to stand strong. And remember this, at the end of the day, when thousands show up and there's orders being put into place, those cops and troops are being sent there by people that you voted to put into power. So next time around, you better have everything up to par, up to speed, and ready to rock when it's the next time to put someone in a seat that's supposed to be representing you. You might want to make sure they're not sending people with guns to turn on you in the end. And make sure they're ones that will do the right thing. Because in the end, it's all it's about. Karma comes quick. It does come back to you. And we ride for all the spirits and the souls that have been lost. All the ones that jumped out of those towers as they come crumbling down during that occult sacrifice ritual that they pulled off on 9/11. All the other staged events and all the other innocent lives lost out there. The babies staring up at the sky right now, taking their last breath, starving to death, while these billionaires sit there in their paunch mansions, their feet kicked up by the fire. We ride for you. We do not forget. And we do come from the shadows. This has been Dabu7. And this is Illuminati.